What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger so I can see. And Spook Realm, you are first in the building as usual. If you are not a jive turkey, and I hope you are not, you jive ass turkeys that be trying to sneak in the comments section, by the epic true story, my brother's name is Kenny. Yes, the book link is in the description below. If you don't have it, get it. Please hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. And big up to the Rewind crew who's gonna check this out later on. Um, yeah, let's see. Supreme Divine, what's up? Gregory Nettis, what's up? Um, Yo, Kenny, did you know that the shortest and tallest basketball players played together in 1987, Muggsy and Manute Bol? I did know that. Um, Explicit Hip Hop, what's up? Let's see if I can move quick, y'all. Let's see how this goes. Um, Kenneth Smith, what's good? Spook Realm says, any news on KRS, a new style? No news, but I did see the video for the song, the animated song Gavel, and I had actually saw that before. We spoke about that briefly on Tuesday. I had already saw that video, and turns out that was AI. And because I was listening to it, I'm like, it sounds like Chris, but his voice sounds a little bit different. Sounds like him, but it doesn't sound like him. That's how I was thinking to myself, like he had an effect on his voice or something. Dope song, but turns out it's somebody else doing a tribute to KRS and made a song. And like I say, AI could be dangerous, y'all. It's gonna become a time when you're not gonna know what's true and what's not, what's real and what's AI, unless it's actually in your face. And they're coming with the AI glasses. They're already here, but once they become very popular, people are gonna be walking down the street. We're gonna have no idea what's real. Anyway, big up to whoever made that Gavel song, but I liked it. I liked the track, but I also think it's dangerous. Stephen Brooks, what's up? Mike Rocks 25, what's good? MMA Crossfire, the usuals are in the building. Explicit said the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame discussions Tuesday's dope, Kenny. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've had that discussion before around these parts. And I've been getting little long-winded about it, but we haven't talked about it in a while. So it was a good conversation. For those that missed it, check out Tuesday's Rewind. We talked about the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Uh, G. Doyle, one half of the legendary Doyle brothers. I like how that sounds. Doyle brothers. What's up? Sydney Rhodes, what's up? Um, this is random, Stephen Brooks. The best album in the last 15 years has to be Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. On this channel, like I always say, I don't believe in best and worst, dope and whack. Music is too subjective. So to you, the best album in the last 15 years is Kanye West. Somebody else will come. Somebody gonna come in the comment section with a bunch of different bests of. Um, I was a huge fan of Kanye West's work, and he's probably still talented, but I don't even listen to it like that anymore. Sadly, um, he just went left for me. Uh, for heavy rotation. Hey everyone, first time on the live. What's up? Welcome to the show. Let's see, am I making this true? I'm gonna move this down a little bit so it doesn't cover my head. Hold on, y'all. I wanna make this, I think I'm gonna bring it down like this. I wanted y'all to see it like that, but I'm gonna bring it like this so that this doesn't really make sure it doesn't cover my face. I'm gonna make sorry about that. Hey everyone, for the first time live, usually I'm a part of the Rewind crew. Big up to the Rewind crew. I am born and raised in Brooklyn. I as well. We live in Europe the last 3 years. Big up to DJ Kenny Parker and everyone on the chat. Yes, first time live. Thank you for checking in. Ilroy, what's up? Um, Stephen Brooks says it sucks. There's not a lot of New York rap stars to talk about in modern times. Yeah, I mean big popular New York rap stars. I guess who's the last big New York rap star? I guess Nicki Minaj. Didn't she go platinum a year and a half ago? She's from Queens, I believe. Nicki Minaj, not Minaj. That's my New York. Um, yeah, in modern times, I mean, Pop Smoke. I'm a big up, rest in peace, Pop Smoke. But yeah, hip hop in general. You know, there's not a hip hop record in the I believe in the top 25 in the Billboard Hot 100. It's probably been decades since that's happened. Rap is in bad shape, y'all. I kind of called this a little while back, but I said another whole rant. MMA Crossfire. I understand Chubby Checker is watching this live closely, Kenny. Yes. For those that was checking it on Tuesday, we were intellectually critical of Chubby Checker. And I hope him or his family, Misty Bass or whoever, didn't take it personally. We just was questioning the criteria of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I don't want no smoke with Chubby Checker, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. Terrell McMillan, what's good? Patrick Y is in the building. John Walker, Beyond the Matrix, Dan Marasuti, um, Sweet Goldilocks, what's up? Latrice Washington, hey, good evening, Kenny Hip Hop family. What's up, Latrice? All the regulars in the building. James Brown, Buffalo, New York. Henry Cedillo. Tracy, hey, DJ KP. What's up, Tracy? Con West says, what up, Kenny? What up? I don't recognize that name. Brunswick, what's up? Beyond the Matrix says, I was just listening to a live performance of Insatiable by Prince. Wow. The best ever, no doubt. Prince is my all-time favorite artist. And I put him in a small handful of musical geniuses. He was a musical genius. And we lost him way too soon, tragically. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Reggie Johnson says, sup, KP? Question, who decides when it's time to release an album? That would be the record company. They have, I guess, quarters where they drop albums. So they try to set up albums to drop a certain amount for each quarter. Unless you're a big star where you decide you want to drop on a Wednesday night at 12 a.m. and all of that kind of stuff. You got to be a big star. Or if you're independent, you can drop whenever you feel like it, for the most part. But normally, the record company slates you in. So they'll tell you, like right now, we're in September. Record company might tell you, we want to drop the first week of January. Or we want to drop in January, the first quarter, or whatever it is. So they're telling you now to get your album together and turn it in, because it takes a couple of months to do the marketing, do the artwork, the whole thing. So they saying, if you want your album to come out in January, you need to turn it in by say the end of October or whatever, something like that. And but it's usually the record company that decides that based on what they call marketing. Um, and you know what, Jay Wu 72, I failed once again. I was walking home today and I said, I got to dig out that BDP hat. And then I forgot again. And I was thinking to myself, there's something I need to do today, and I forgot. What I'm going to do is dig it out after this live so I can have it ready to go. Failed, man. Failed again. Uh, CMC's Techniques in Class says, how many real hip hoppers in the place right now? I believe that's a snippet from a live show that Premier used on Return of the Boom Bap. I believe it was the collage record. What was it called? How many real hip hoppers? It was like a collage of all of KRS-One's hits. Premier did a fantastic job with that. Rocking, beats, beats, beats. That was dope. Shout out to my brother DJ Premier. Terrell Miller says AI got Rakim too. Why would you do that? I always wondered about people who do practical jokes and hoaxes and things like that. For what reason? There's people on social media who have accounts under a celebrity's name, and you're going around being a celebrity, answering and speaking as them. That is so corny to me. Or uh trying to hack somebody's account, and when you get in, then you try to make them you'll say something that would cause a lot of controversy, and you try to make it as they said it. Corny. Even people back in the day who tried to do the Loch Ness monster hoax or a Bigfoot hoax. For what? And then you try to be anonymous. What do you get out of that? I always wondered about the psychology of the mind of a person who does stupid pranks and hoax. And I got to put doing an AI version of a song you wrote with someone else's voice, making it them. I got to put that up there with a prankster. The more I think about it, I think that's corny. I know some people do it as a tribute, but I don't really think it's a tribute. I think it's corny, and I'm going on record for saying that now. Reggie Johnson said Chubby Checker is I can't believe that Kenny would diss me. I did not diss Chubby Checker. I did not intend to diss Chubby Checker. I just asked the question, how Chubby Checker is basically known for one song. How is that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy? And if someone says he had 32 top 10 hits or something, which is before my time, so they count. Then somebody said he had a #1 hit dance record in 2008. And see, this is why I be questioning some things, because a #1 dance record on Billboard in '08, I was DJing a lot in '08. I was DJing a lot of top 40 parties, a lot of college parties in '08. I do not remember hearing anyone asking me for or playing the Chubby Checker hit from '08. Not saying it wasn't a hit. I just don't remember people asking for that record like that. Like they would say the Black Eyed Peas from back then. But y'all gonna think I'm dissing again. I'm not mentioning Chubby Checker's name no more on this channel because I don't want the problems. Congratulations to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Bug says, and this has been all over my feed today. R.I.P. Assata Shakur, godmother of the great Tupac Shakur, died today. And she was, to say the least, a very controversial figure. To some people, to many people, she's a hero. The United States government has her almost public enemy. She's been public enemy number one, not number one. For a female, she's been public enemy number one woman for decades. She's on every watch list. There was a $2 million bounty on her head. Multiple presidents have tried to get her extradited from Cuba. Her rap sheet is ridiculous. She was part of not only the Black Panthers, but the BLA organization, um, fighting for the rights of the Black person in America, which I respect tremendously. But the way they went about it is, I have to say, I can't condone that. Um, but I'm going to big her up, not only for being Tupac's godmother, but as a real respected person in hip hop. There's been at least 10, maybe more, songs written by various hip hop artists, known hip hop artists, dedicated to her. And um, numerous shout outs, even from one of my all time favorite groups, Public Enemy. So she was very well respected in hip hop, and I respect her as well. I just saw some of the methodology of what she was trying to accomplish. And well, when they say about that, people thought that phrase, that was about that life. I'm about that life. Most of the people that say they're about that life, the fact that they say it means they're not really about that life. Assata Shakur was about that life. If y'all get a chance to look up her story, I think it would make a wild movie. But yes, she passed away today. Um, and big up to her. Criminal Minded says, in 2 years, KRS needs to remix all the songs, get a few features, and release a 40th anniversary edition Criminal Minded double album with original and new ones. Well, KRS is working on something for the 40th anniversary. I talked to him about that a couple weeks back, and he did mention that. I don't know if I would add people to the Criminal Minded songs. I would leave them songs alone. Certain things I think you should leave it alone. Now, if he wants to add to the songs, if he wants to do a remix version, an updated version, add some songs that should have been on the album, or lyrics, uh, I got some stuff in my stash that could probably go on this Criminal Minded double album that you're talking about. I don't think I would mess with any of the original songs. Leave that alone to me. But yeah, stuff is in the works, Criminal Minded. I don't recognize this name. Rizzy68 Scott. Happy Friday, bro. Happy Friday. Bruce Kennedy, what's up? And here we go. Gregory Nettis says, no, it's not. Cliff's album is way better than Kanye. And that's Gregory Nettis' opinion. Way better. Let's see. Beyond the Matrix says, KP, you got to bring Chubby Checker to the show. I would love to. I'm scared, though. Jay Wu says, yo, Kenny, that new KRS-One gavel do really sound like him. Sounds more like it was made by AI. It sounds like AI, but it kind of sounds like if he told me he made it, I would say, oh, okay, you had an effect on your voice or something different. But if he says it's KRS, I'd be like, yeah, I can hear it. But if you say it's AI, yeah, I can hear that too. Another couple years, man, you're not gonna know the difference. Um, Sydney Rose, favorite track on Criminal Minded is, for me, The Bridge Is Over will always be, uh, because there's a whole story behind that song. But that will for always, forever be my favorite record on there. Um, I loved Dope Beat too. I love the album, but you say favorites. Anthony Gus, haven't seen you in a while. Big up Kenny Parker in the place on a Friday night. What up? Rosmel, I forgot about Cardi B is from the Bronx. Damn, I forgot. How can I forget Cardi B? I actually like Cardi B. I always root for her. Um, she's dropped her first album in what, 7 years? I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Uh, but I might skim through it and see if something bubbles up that I would play in a club. Um, Big up Cardi B. Uh, for heavy rotation, it says, I have lived in Portugal the last few years. We get New York City hip hop shows, but I had to yet to see one till KRS came through. I saw you and KRS in 1997 at Tramps in New York City. Great show from you guys. I remember we was in Tramps a few times um, in 97. I believe we debuted, no, 90, we debuted Step Into a World in 96. 97. I got to remember that show. We did Tramps a few times. Um, Dartmouth says, I can't name one Nicki Minaj song, and I'm a hip hop purist. Maybe because you're a hip hop purist. Nicki Minaj is now the #1 selling female rap artist of all time. She has multiple songs, multiple appearances on songs that sold big. Um, I've never met Nicki Minaj, but big up to her. Dear Marasuji says a whack rapper just got ended in TO recently. Stop the violence. Yeah, man. But you know what? A lot of times, now I don't know who this person is, but a lot of times the news will be like, rapper down, blah, blah, blah. And they'll show the name of a person. I'm like, I never heard this person. Did they even have a name out? I mean, a record out? Like sometimes you'll be a rapper as like your part-time, your job or your hobby, or like you're an aspiring rapper. And they'll just put rapper and violence. And it's like, he might have worked at Walmart and was a rapper. Why don't you say Walmart employee, blah, blah, blah? Not talking about this, I don't know who you're talking about, but I see that all the time. Rappers down, they're like, see another rapper down. I'm like, this guy never even put out a record. Um, but yeah, stop the violence. I mean, we could say it till we're blue in the face. A lot of these, a lot of this is street stuff that boils over, especially in that drill community. JWoo72 says the best YouTube channel ever created. Yes. On that note, I'm getting out of here. Peace, y'all. I should just end the chat. We should just leave it right there. That's it. What else we gotta say? What else? Thank you, JWoo. Greetings, 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 greetings. Huge lane for 80s and 90s MCs to tour currently due to the lack of quality. Well, it's I don't know if it's lack of quality. I mean, that's in there, but it's also lack of hits. There's no hits. There's no big rap songs out right now. Big rap songs. I mean, Kendrick's album last year, fueled by his battles, had some big records. He had some big records last year. But There's no big records. And a lot of these people that have big records, they're not stars. You have a big record, but you're not a star. So people will like your song, it'll play a lot, but nobody's coming to see it. A. B, the ticket prices are so high. Um, Back in the day, you could pay $25 and have 6 or 7 of the top acts in the whole game on one bill. Now, if you prorate that for inflation, let's say even today, that'd be what, $70? For $70, you could get 6 or 7 of the biggest artists all on one bill. Now, you got to spend $200 to get one act. It's just too high. Um, I don't know if this young generation, also Generation Z, I don't know if they're inclined to go out to concerts like we were. When you have so much YouTube and so much social media, you're seeing these artists every move. You're seeing footage of everything they do. It's not as exciting as you have not seen an artist perform at all. A lot of times you don't even know what they look like, and they're coming to your town. It's a whole event. You get your gear, you get your ticket, and you see them live. It's the first time you ever see them, and you might not see them again except for the video for another year. It was different back in the day. Now, but there is a huge lane for 80s, 90s MCs to get some money, which is dope. Dwight, what's up? Dartmouth, what's up? Um, Engage says Prince was just on a whole other level. He really was. Man. He really was. Um, Gregory Nettis says, if Public Enemy dropped Fight the Power today, would it still be a huge hit, especially what's been going on recently? I don't think so. A rallying cry like that, at that time, it was that time where the Black community was looking to say something because of what was going on in our community in the 80s, and we had no voice. And then some voices popped up, and they had something to say in a way that was never said before. And we ate it up. And it got played on daytime radio and video. Now, it's so much sex and violence that I don't think it would be a hit right now. Or it'd be a hot, maybe somebody will do a TikTok dance to it, Fight the Power dance, and it might go viral for like 2 weeks. Then that'll be the end of it. Uh, Mike Rock says, talking about Prince, I had a door recorded on one side of a 90-minute tape back in the day, blasting out of the hash back in my GMC. A door was banging. A door was like 7 minutes long of Prince just talking about how much he loved a girl. Yo, do you think hip hop has fallen? R&B is looking up at hip hop right now going, damn, I wish I could be you. R&B is done. Done, done, done. Black music is in trouble. Let's start there. Big trouble. Um, Emma Brown, what's up? Welcome back. Hi, Kenny. Hi to the chat. Um, Crusher Blackwell says, was Sparky D on B-Boy Records alongside BDP? That's one female MC that's very unsung. I remember Sparky D. She used to be, Red Alert used to DJ for her, and she used to battle. Who she used to battle? Shantae. Um, I might have met Sparky D once or twice. Was she on B-Boy Records? I don't remember, tell you the truth. Yeah, Kenneth Smith, KRS-One Attacks was the record. Um, Yeah. David also says, Kenny, was New York ever big on bass or was it crazy down south? Yeah, I think that was a down south thing. I mean, we had cars, but when you was driving by blasting, you could tell what the hottest records were in New York, but just by sitting in a hood area and just watching cars go by and just doing a survey of what they were playing. Um, but the records that were playing in New York weren't bassy at all. I think that was a down south thing. Uh, Beyond the Matrix says, I watched Big Daddy Kane on Shannon Sharp's show. Classic. I hope Shannon Sharp invites KRS-One to his show, but you got to get him on first. Absolutely. Uh, Jamil Live says, do you know if DJ Premier is going to link back up and finish collaboration album with KRS? Not that I heard of. Um, Rod Woodman, what's up? I don't recognize that name. Greetings, KP. Did you hear about the upcoming documentary about Albee Square Mall? No. But I'm trying to figure out what the documentary could be about. Albee Square Mall was in downtown Brooklyn on Fulton Street, um, down the block from Junior's Cheesecake Factory. It was an average mall. Actually, it was a small mall, and it wasn't even that dope. What made Albee Square Mall infamous was the criminals who used to hang out there and rob people when they came out the store. Um, you did not want to go to Albee Square Mall and buy any clothes or sneakers and come out of there. Um, the wolves were just there. And Biz used to be there all the time. I believe Biz and Kane met at Albee Square Mall, if I get the story correct. I went to Albee Square Mall maybe once or twice back in the day, and it was just so hood. I was like, yo, I'm up out of here. Um, so I wonder what an Albee Square Mall documentary, like it's just a mall to me, but that's why there's documentaries, so you could learn something. Um, let's see. Delta Doom says, LOL, son still wants beef with Chubby Checker. No, I'm just trying to recap what we were talking about Tuesday, and I'm done. I don't want Chubby Checker at all. No smoke. Um, let's see. Abdullah Muhammad, peace, brother KP, South Philly in the big building. Big up South Philly. Philly always had the dopest hip hop shows, man. Always had the dopest hip hop shows. Emma Brown, this is an ill question. Hi, Kenny. Did you meet Skadanks from the Hill album? They are still making music with new music this year. No, I did not know that. And of course, I knew Skadanks. I did a song with Skadanks that never came out. Um, Skadanks, um, KRS started a record label in he started in 1990, and he finally got distribution, I believe, in like 91 ish. And the first groups that were supposed to be on there was supposed to be the Hill Album Project, Jamal Ski, big up Jamal Rankin, and an artist named Kevin B. He's on the BDP Hardcore Worldwide album, and he's singing "Hip Hop Will Never Die, no matter what you try." Those was to be the first three artists: Hill Project first, and then Jamalski and Kevin B. I don't know what happened with Kevin B that it didn't work out. And Jamalski eventually signed, instead of signing with Edutainer Records, which was going through Elektra, he signed with Sony. So now there was 2 spots opened, which was filled by Heather B and Skadanks. Shout out to Rocka T, their lead vocalist. And so an album that was supposed to come out from Heather B back in 93 um, was on Edutainment Records, and I did a song with Skadanks, Heather B and Skadanks. It was dope too. Heather B and Skadanks, we did it in D&D, but that whole album got trashed. So long story short, yes, big up Rocker T, man. I don't really know I met the other members, but I didn't really know them that well, but Rocker T was um mad cool. Verse Pro says, I will never support, not gonna say that word, no matter what color they are. Yeah, Verse Pro, I guess we're talking about Assata. And they say, they have a saying, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So it depends on which side of the fence you're on. I guess you're on the side that the United States government is on. So I don't support terrorists neither. But I don't even want to touch that subject because I will definitely get flagged. DJ Moose, what's up? Kenny, can anybody in the chat name one album that doesn't have any pause in between tracks, bangers all the way through? Any pause in between tracks? You mean no space? Like a continuous album, or no pause meaning all the songs were dope? Once again, that's subjective. I think every album has a skippable song. No matter how great it is, there's one song on there that you're like, I don't really care for that. That's my opinion. The Sage Dragon says, wow, I didn't realize there are that many hip hop songs dedicated to her life. Read her biography, R.I.P. Assata. Yes. Many songs, probably more than 10. And between the songs and the shout outs, it'd be over a dozen easily. So those people look at her as a freedom fighter. Spook Realm says the P is still free was a dope. Yeah, it was. That was the first song DJ Premier and KRS did together. Rasul Hassan, Kenny, you was right again. These producers' credits are bogus. According to Warren G, him and Krista Glove Taylor put a lot of the Chronic together. Yeah, well, I mean, there's always been rumblings about Dre, who is my favorite producer of all time. But what do you mean by put together? Did you take Dre's ideas and put them together as like an engineer, or did you do the music? Did you come up with the ideas? The Chronic, as I understood it, was a collaboration. Everybody was throwing ideas into the pot. That's one of the greatest albums ever made in any genre. What a great album, The Chronic. I listened to that album hundreds of times. But yeah, Warren G, I'm interested. I would like for him to get in detail. Like, what exactly did you do? And Dr. Dre gives a lot of credit to Krista Glove, and he shouts him out too. Now I don't know if he shouts out Warren G, but I've heard him mention Krista Glove a lot. Krista Glove a lot. Abdullah says, please leave the classics alone. I kind of agree with that. I didn't notice MMA. Says, I like how the Far Side salute 9mm go bang on Bizarre Ride. I didn't never even heard that. Neved Official, what's up? Rasul Hassan says, most underrated KRS song is You're Slipping. You're Slipping was dope. Shout out to ICU. Shout out to ICU on the ad libs. Spook Rump says, any stories as to what happened to Bud Bundy's rap career? I don't know, but I have a couple of Bud Bundy stories on my Epic Fails. It's called Epic Fails Hollywood on this channel. I got a couple of Bud Bundy stories on there. That's funny. Um, Minor says, that's what I meant by original and new ones. A double album would be one album of the originals and one album of new remixes. Some new ones with features. I guess I worded it wrong. Sorry, no problem. No, I get what you mean. Um, somebody just said, damn, Marasuti, I guess he's talking about Nicki Minaj. It's too bad she ain't hip hop. That's another objective opinion. Who is and who isn't hip hop? I think Nicki Minaj is hip hop. She's her version of hip hop. Just because your version isn't her version doesn't mean it's not hip hop. That's her version in her era. BR Valentine 1 says, best and whack is so subjective, and thanks to KP's influence, I have softened my opinion on rap, and I say my favorite instead of best now. If I don't like it, then it's not my taste. I think I saw that in the comment section as you commented, BR Valentine. Thank you. Yeah, that's kind of more how I look at it. Art is art. Um, there's some people that go to exhibits and somebody will have a banana peel taped onto a canvas and hung up on a wall, just a banana peel and tape. And people will be standing around looking at it, wonder what the artist meant, wonder what was going on in his life at the time. I can see what he was thinking, all that stuff. It's a banana peel and tape. But it's art to him and it's art to somebody else. My thing is always whether it works or not for the public. Like, did it work for what you were trying to do? If you were trying to make a pop song and it didn't work, whatever you did didn't work, or, there's other factors to what makes a hit record work, which is another Kenny Parker rant. I'm not going to do it at the moment unless y'all force me to. But I look at things of whether it worked or didn't work, or whether it was for me or not. There's songs that's not for me, but they're hits, and I could understand where they were going with it. Like you talk about down south bass, like Miami bass, wasn't for me. Two Live Crew had a couple of records that were cool to me, and that's mainly because of the videos, not necessarily because of the song. Back in the 80s, but I understood what they were trying to do, and they were going platinum with it. It just wasn't for me. Um, Explicit Hip Hop says, keep it on wax if you got beef. I agree, Explicit, but it never works out like that. That's not how things happen. What really happens is behind the scenes, certain people's crews and entourages be gearing up for the next time I see this person, it's on site. And then they always meet up somewhere, and then there's always violence. It's hardly ever on wax. To me, that's a myth. It would be nice if two MCs just took it as sports and you just like you playing a one-on-one for a championship and y'all just battled it out and kept it like that. No, it'd be real serious. I've been part of many a beef and I've seen many. It's serious. CMC's Technique in Class, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. As usual, once again, I really appreciate anybody and everybody who contributes to the channel. It's very much appreciated. Yo, KP, I want to big up Nasir Jones for his NYC casino deal. Once again, Nas is setting standards. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's actually part of two people were bidding for casinos I believe Jay-Z is bidding for one in Manhattan, and Nas and his people, his investors were bidding for one in Queens, and they said the people from Queens got the 6-0 vote to go ahead with the project. But I've seen that Nas was part of this project only on social media. I haven't seen an actual news outlet report that Nas is part of the deal. So I'd like to see a reputable, reputable news outlet say that Nas is part of the deal to bring a casino to Queens. Either which way, we're talking billions of dollars. Dudes from Queensbridge Projects and Marcy Projects. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to any of those projects. I have been to both of them multiple times. For someone to come from that environment to be talking about billion-dollar deals in the state of New York is mind-boggling. But yes, let's big up Nas always on this channel. Nas gets bigged up always on this channel. Jack Swagger, we talked about this before, and I'm not gonna get. First of all, let me big up Miss Hill, who has always treated me with the utmost respect and love. That is my homie. Big up Miss Hill. Big up the whole Fuji's crew. Big up Praz. Big up Wyclef. Big up DJ Leon, who doesn't get mentioned enough, who is a dope DJ for the Fugees. Um, but I've had this argument about, is Lauryn even, because we talk about the best female rappers of all time, Lauryn Hill's name is right at the top, as it should be. But my question is she really even an MC? If you took all of her verses and put them together, would it equal one album? And I've asked that question before. Now, Jack Swagger says Lauryn Hill only has 30 verses as an MC. I don't call her a rapper anymore. But if you figure 3 verses makes a song, she has 10 songs. 10 songs is an album. Technically, Boogie has made one album worth of raps, which would make her an MC. She has rapped enough. I didn't think she had 30. I thought she had under 30. Now I'm going by this number, Jack Swagger. I have no idea if your number is correct or not, but if we're gonna go by this number 30, then technically she slid in like how a runner comes from third base and they're coming home and they throw the ball from the outfield and they slide and the ref and the umpire says safe. That's how Lauryn Hill will slide in to me as an MC with 30 verses. 30 verses is 10 songs. Actually, she doesn't even have how many singing songs she had. Lauryn has not made that much music. It's just that in the small time that she did it was so innovative and incredible and soulful that we just can't get past it. But if you really strip it down, Lauryn has not made a lot of music. But I'm gonna say 30 verses is an MC. Let's see what you guys think. I know you guys are gonna have your opinions, which is all good. Criminal Minded says, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to hit the like button, please. Um, let's see. Oh, I was gonna say this too when we're talking about Assata Shakur. I think the number one hip hop conspiracy theory, and I love a good conspiracy theory, but it got to be a good one though, is that Tupac was still alive. Tupac did not perish in '96. I am a person who believed that Tupac was still alive. I remember when he passed, Chuck D, the great Chuck D, had put out a list, 25 reasons why Tupac is still alive. I don't know if you can still find that on the internet, but it was 25 reasons why Tupac was still alive. And it was very compelling to me. And I always thought, okay, the Don Illuminati theory, Tupac is going to come back in 7 years. But after the 7 years passed and Pac didn't come back, I decided he was gone. But I think that is the biggest hip hop conspiracy theory of all time. Some people say he's still in Cuba. That would be crazy. Yo, if Tupac was alive and came back right now, first of all, it's a crime to fake your death. So he would have that case. He had cases pending. I don't know if the statute of limitations would run out, but the cases that he had pending would automatically, I think, be reinstated. So if he came back, he would come back to a world of trouble. um, but yeah, that would be crazy. Um, this is interesting. Nev Ed says, I personally can't wait to go to Europe. Hip hop gets treated like royalty out there. That is an understatement. The rest of the world appreciates hip hop way more than we do. We're spoiled in America. Um, Even if you hadn't had a record out in 30 years, if you're a 90s rapper right now and you go to Europe, you would think your record came out yesterday, the way they treat you. And they know your whole album. Like, in America, you might have an album and you might do like one or two of the biggest records or whatever. In Europe, they know every song. They buy merchandise. They treat you like a real rock star out there. There's people out in Europe that you're not thinking about in America that's doing shows, that's eating lovely out there, getting those euros, including BDP. Um, Red, what up? Tapping in. Um, let's see. Heartthrob Forever. It's a dope name. What's the best way to contact you for inquiry and your Cash App? The best way, well, I don't see, I don't want to put my number out here on the world. How about DM me on Instagram? If you DJ Kenny Parker on Instagram, if you DM me, I will see it. Thank you, Heartthrob Forever. That's a dope name. Um, I'm falling behind too. I say it every week. Every week I try to keep up. Uh, Kenneth Smith said Nicki Minaj sells sex, which I don't particularly respect, but she writes her own rhymes, which I do. Well, yeah, she allegedly writes her own rhymes, which puts her way up in the category to me of female rappers. And I mean, she sells sex. That's her style. I mean, Prince sold sex too. Prince was very conscious though. Prince had, the yin and the yang, but he sold sex. We loved it. Marvin Gaye did a whole album, Let's Get It On. We loved it. Classic. I mean, I don't use selling sex as strike against you. That's your style. Some people are conscious, some people sell sex, some people are comedians, some people are gangster, some people, whatever. Um, I would love to see her say something. She has millions of young girls who listen to her music. I would love to see her say something uplifting to them, but that's just me, an old dude. Um, Mike Rock says, I saw the decline of R&B and rap radio back in 2010 when I turned it off. I'll listen to it when I have someone in the whip. Yeah, it's been a slow bomb. It wasn't instantly. It was a slow bomb. That's just now you're seeing the results of a couple of decades of bad, a couple of decades of subpar artists. being pushed to the top, to me. Um, Jack Swagger says Aubrey Moore was trash. I thought it was trash too. Um, Jack Swagger says I was a Coliseum kid. Big up to the Coliseum in Queens. I went there with Biz. Biz used to hang out in the Coliseum. Biz used to be everywhere. We went to the Coliseum, me and Biz, in Queens. That was to me more like a swap meet almost. What they would call a swap meet in on the West Coast. Albee Square Mall was a mall. It was just whack. Food there, like a food court with like two stands. It was whack. Like I'm curious to see what the documentary would be about. Um, let's see. Let's see. Miss Hunley says, Kenny, who do you think would actually challenge Michael Jackson in a verse? Me and my cousin are in a debate. He's saying R. Kelly could take him. No, I think who could challenge him? You'd have to be Stevie Wonder, the Beatles, that category. The Prince. The Jackson 5 alone is a huge problem. I think people even saying Michael Jackson's name in the midst of other names is crazy. Um, I think we forgot what Michael Jackson really did in this game. We will never, ever, 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 ever see somebody like that again. Emma Brown said, I'd love to hear that track with Skadanks and Heather B. Thanks for the story, Kenny. I think I have a DAT of it somewhere. I don't have a DAT player. I need a DAT player because I have a bunch of stuff on DAT that I need to digitize. Um, David also says, Kenny, have you ever met Groove B Chill? Yes, that was the homie. Big up Groove B Chill. It ain't nothing like hip hop music. Yeah, Groove B Chill was chill. Yes, I met him. I used to see him out and about with his wheelchair. Illmatic is unskippable. Possibly. I'd have to listen to it again. Possibly. Possibly Illmatic is unskippable. See, and now Brooklyn Geek says Illmatic is close, but One Time for Your Mind is kind of see. There's always, it's just opinions. But yeah, Drew King says Group Home Living Proof is a no skip album for me. Shout out to Malachi. Shout out to Little Dap. I haven't seen Little Dap in forever, bro. That's my dude. Shout out Dap. Come on the channel, Dap. That's my dude. Emma Brown says apparently Warren G had a lot of musical input in the Chronic. I could see that. But you know what's funny? All of these producers who say that they did this and they did this with Dre, when they go off on their own, it doesn't sound like it. Like for some reason, Dre still sounds like Dre, no matter who he works with. But most of the other producers outside of Scott Storch don't really do much of anything without Dre. Now, of course, Warren G was dope. With the what do you have the G Funk sound? But even that sounded like a cousin of Dr. Dre, but not quite like Dre, but sound like a cousin of it. It was dope. He had some hits, but I wouldn't put his album Regulate next to the Chronic like that. Not trying to diss. It's really hard for me to give my opinion on this channel because people might think I'm dissing. I don't know Warren G. I would never disrespect. No disrespect, Warren G. You are a great artist. And we're just talking about production. I don't know if musically Regulate album is on par with the Chronic. So as I'm saying, people say Dre didn't do this or Dre did that or whatever, but somehow Dre sounds like Dre all the time. I don't know. Jack Swagger says, I prefer Doggy Style more than the Chronic. I prefer the Chronic, but Doggy Style was dope. Brooklyn Geek says, Chronic close, but Little Ghetto Boy now. I love Little Ghetto Boy. What? Living in the ghetto streets? What you gonna do when you grow up, Brooklyn Geek? Try to chase responsibility. Come on, Brooklyn Geek. Rosmel says a lot of people helped put the Chronic together. Yeah, as I understand it, but Dre was the mastermind to it, and he put his input in it too. I would love to have seen who exactly did what. Spook Realm says ham and eggs is unskippable. Ham and eggs, unskippable? You mean on People's Instinctive Travels? Is that what you're talking about, ham and eggs? I like that song. I'm a tribe head, though. David also says, Kenny, who started Violator Records? Chris Lighty, I believe. Violator was a crew who used to roll with Red Alert in the Union Square in Latin Quarters. You run up on Red Alert the wrong way and you will meet the Violators from the Bronx, and they used to fight with Brooklyn all the time. I talk about it in my book. I have a great story about that. All right, what I'm gonna do right here is go back, way back into time. I'm going to jump down a little bit because I'm behind. And I'm gonna, oh, I'm not that far behind. How about I jump in right here? DJ Rob Ski, peace. Rosmel says, I just found out Twista and his crew were waiting to jump Tretch for dissing him when Naughty came out to Chicago in '94, and Ally talked them out of it. Well, I'm glad that happened because Tretch is the fam, Naughty by nature. And had that happened, first of all, Tretch and them was about it, so, but you're in another person's town, it's very difficult. But when Twister came back to New York, that would have been all kind of problems. Jersey, New York, that would have been all kind of problems. Naughty used to come to the party like Wu-Tang. People don't realize, Naughty has all the big anthem records. Them dudes wild, man. So Grumps says, fun fact, L Boogie dissed Wu-Tang, and Wu-Tang let it slide because the cut was dope. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Let's see. Beyond the Matrix says Tupac is chilling Mo Dillon in Cuba. I thought that, but at this point, I think if Tupac was in Cuba by this point, we would know. Ajax says Tupac was whack. Explicit says Ajax doesn't speak for all Van City people. Oh. Jack Swagger says Pac been gone and his mom turned off his life support. Allegedly. Am I still holding on? Markeith Bankroll said, would Lauryn Hill pop off in 2025? Yeah, I think she would. The amount of people who know her music and would give her a chance. See, the thing is, there's so much music out there. that it's very hard to keep people's attention span. But a person like Lauryn, who's not only the 90s generation loved her music, but the young kids still get to hear Lauryn's music from time to time. And I'm sure there's a few Lauryn Hill songs that transcend time. They're classics. So if Lauryn Hill, new album by Lauryn Hill, I'm sure most of the R&B and hip hop world would listen to it. Now, if it was dope, it would be on. Oh, big up L Boogie, man. That's my people. Cutie Pie says Missy, in my opinion, one of the greats. Yeah. Um, Cutie Pie, what's up? Um, I think she, for me, is the best female MC of all time based on her writing. See, writing has a lot to do with it. And now I'm going to get in trouble again. I've been really opening hornets nests on this channel, and I hope I don't get backlash. But when you talk about the greatest female rappers of all time, for me, it's hard because a large majority of them did not write their songs. And so, do you know how great any one of us on this channel would be if Jay-Z or Nas or any number of people, Snoop, any number of these people, they were hot, Jermaine Dupri, any number of these people wrote our rhymes and made songs for us? Do you know how dope any of us would sound if Nas or Jay-Z decided to write a song for us? And all you have to do is just say it the way they said, a Notorious B.I.G. Write a song for you, do the reference track. And all you have to do is say it exactly how he said it, and it'll be a hit. And because of that, it's really hard to put women into how do you compare them, because you're not really comparing them, you're comparing ghostwriters. So the people, and I don't mean to disrespect anyone, because most of the female rappers, especially from the 90s, I'm cool with. But it is what it is. So to me, the artist that wrote, whose pen game translated into hits, I move them way up the pile. So when you're talking about Lauryn Hill's pen, Nicki Minaj's pen, Missy Elliott's pen, the way I look at things, I consider that a huge factor. So when you say Missy is one of the greats, she wrote whole rap albums, hooks, R&B. Her pen is one of the greatest in of the era. I've never met Missy. She got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it was last year, right? That is deservedly so. Her and Timbaland were a great pair. Um, yeah, I'm big on Missy. And the more you hear these backstories, I like to go on YouTube and just watch. Anytime I see the making of a song or backstories of songs, I am glued to it. And more and more and more you hear, so and so wrote this song for so and so. So and so wrote this song for so and so. And even there's great songs, and I still like them, but it takes away a little bit. Excuse me. I think it takes away when you know that someone else wrote it. Still dope, but it just has a um Anyway, Jason Wall says, I finally arrived, 53 minutes. I'm slipping. Yes, but better late than never, Jason Wall. And big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. Um, Hold on a second. Let me do this. Okay. Those are Doom says, can't believe KRS-One brothers talking like this. Like what? Um, and let me give you a little secret, though, so Doom. KRS-One and Kenny Parker are two completely different people, shocking as it may be, with completely different opinions on certain things. Some things we agree on, some things we don't. So I don't know what you can I don't know what you consider you can't believe. I see you say shaking my head, which is fine. Um, but this is the Kenny Parker show. If you'd like to know what KRS-One thinks about certain things, you should check out KRS-One's channel. I believe it's the Temple of Hip Hop. I think it's down right now because he's touring. But when the Temple of Hip Hop channel is back up and Chris is back up doing his weekly, you should check out that channel if you want to know what KRS-One thinks. Now, if you're interested in what Kenny Parker thinks, welcome. Um, let's see. Um, Emma Brown says rap declined when white American media companies saw dollar signs. Uh, the word decline. Artistically, I can see I can see what you're saying. As a culture, as a worldwide phenomenon, rap exploded, hip hop exploded as American media companies saw the dollar signs. And a lot of people fed their families and became millionaires and made generational wealth based on American media companies seeing dollar signs because we chased crumbs, is what we did. We chased crumbs. We got crumbs. That's the sad part. Um, and this will lead me into a record company rant, so I'm not gonna do it because y'all know my rants could go in record companies. But the crumbs off the table of white America was millions of dollars, and we chased the millions as most people would, and that led to a watered down version of what hip hop and culture intended to be. But there's pockets, there's people that try to keep it authentic, whatever that means, because now what's authentic in 2025 is not the same as what was authentic in 1995. Um, but there you have it. Um, I look at it as a good and bad thing. More bad than good. Um, Emma Brown says the first time I saw a commercial with a rap in it, I was disgusted. Uh, nah, I was actually excited. Like, wow, look how far rap has come from Rapper's Delight. But that's not for everyone. You know, rap music going to the masses, you had to water it down to make it sell millions of copies. But in watering it down, a person like Emma Brown, it wasn't for you. But for some other people, yeah. I see what you're saying, Emma Brown. I see both sides of it. Um, Beatline says, but Albee Square Mall had a song. Yes, Biz did that song, which would for me be a skippable song on his first album. I loved Biz Markie's first album. I think just about every song on there is dope, except Albee Square Mall. I shop at the Albee Square Mall, or whatever that record. I just, I know Biz used to be there a lot, and it was like a hangout spot in Brooklyn, but it was not for everybody, man. Trust me when I tell you. Um, let's see, I'm a little behind. I'm a little behind. Let me see if I can scroll down. Patrick Wise says the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is a no skip album. So is Long Live the King. I could find two. I could find a song on each one of them I would skip. That's just my opinion. Great albums though. I think every album has something I would go, it's okay, or I could have lived without that one. Even Thriller probably has one on it I didn't care for. That's just me. All of them. Purple Rain, any album I could. I'm like, I don't know about this one. This is why isn't Cool G Rap considered the greatest MC of all time? I think he is. Well, there's a lot of factors. Depends on who's listening, how you weigh MCs. Midnight Marauder, I would say, is a non-skip album. See, I love Tribe so much that I'm biased. Mm. Mm. That's. Let's see. Well, Keith says Tupac said Dr. Dre be taking too long to complete a beat. Yeah, that's his process. Because Tupac be recording 3 songs in one night. If you was recording 3 songs in one night, yeah, I guess somebody is taking too long. Um, Pac's work ethic is legendary. And he was in jail for what, a year and a half, 2 years? How long was Pac in jail? Just sitting there writing songs? They said he came out and went straight to the studio and just started going. Um, and Dre didn't have enough music to keep up with him, which I could understand. I think Dre takes a nice amount of time, though. Uh, Ajax says the Chronic was whack. So you think the Chronic was whack and Tupac was whack? Beyond the Matrix, KP, your book is incredible. Thank you so much for purchasing the book. I really appreciate it. I couldn't stop reading it. I finished it in 3 days and was moved, powerful. Thank you so much. Um, I really appreciate that. Thank you. 3 days. That's dope. Um, CMCs, I might be Chronic Stranded on Death Row. How to check it? That record was banging. I think Bushwick Bill is on the intro. I'm gonna shout out my homegirl, Lady of Rage. She was dope on there. That record was banging. I'm about to go listen to the Chronic when I get off of here. I haven't heard it in a while. That record, Stranded on Death Row, I used to kill that. Um, let's see. I saw this the other day. Thoughts on Ghostface Son's diss track? No thoughts. That is between a father and son. I'm leaving that one alone. Um, I didn't even hear the record. I just saw comments. Not touching that one. That is none of my business. Um, let's see. Ah, once again, at CMC's Technique in Class. Thank you so much. Yo, KP, 2 days ago, I seen the Funk Lord Eric Sermon playing beats on YouTube. That would have been dope. I was in complete shock. Could he have seen a DJ KP beat series? Shout out to the Funk Doc. No, that's Redman. Shout out to the Funk Lord Eric Sermon. Um, I was fortunate enough to get on the phone with Eric Sermon a couple months back. Heather B put him on the phone with me, and we talked about a beat that he did that I loved back in the day. One of my producer heroes. Uh, it would be an honor if Eric Sermon got any inspiration from me. I hold Eric Sermon at the highest level of respect. Um, Matter of fact, I might have to go check that out. Um, that's interesting. First Pro says, I agree. Missy Elliott is the best female rapper of all time. I mean, Lauren is probably, to me, she's probably the best technically, but she, like you said, she just slid in. Um, just slid in the door as being an MC. Ms. Hunley, what's up? Kenny, how do you feel about Cannabis pulling out a notebook in the middle of a battle against Disaster? I didn't see that, but I saw the comment section. They ate him alive. I'm not a rapper, so I don't know the rap etiquette that well. Um, but as far as I understand it, that is not what you should be doing in a rap battle. You should have your rhymes ready to go and or freestyle if you lose your place or whatever, as I understand it. But once again, I am not an MC, so I'm not qualified to speak on that. But it didn't go over well. I'll tell you that much. I remember that didn't go over well at all. Beyond the Matrix says, KP, you are such a humble dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I consider you a hip hop legend, no doubt. Thank you. I should end the channel. Oh, let's go home, y'all. Good night. Nah. I might do a little overtime today, y'all. I'm trying to keep the lives to a certain number because it gets, we start going too far, but the time gets to be too much. But today I'm in the mood to talk a little bit, so we'll see. Uh, Stu Beef says, I like that name. Hi, Kenny. KRS and Miss Melody performed a track live in 1990. I probably was the DJ about female rappers who don't write their own lyrics. Is there a studio version of that song in existence? I don't remember the song, and I was probably the DJ for that. I don't remember that song at all, but it's a real problem with female. But it's like women have a curve. Like the way we would judge it, a male, women get like a writing curve for some reason. It's like it's okay if a woman didn't write her rhymes. It's okay. I don't know. Everybody should be judged the same to me. Joey Joe says, I always considered Missy Elliott the same as Luke. Wow. She's a party rapper, but not an MC. See, I don't know the difference between MCs and rappers. And if you get on the mic and you spit your rhymes, to me, you're an MC. Now, what style are you coming with? Because just because you don't sound like Redman or Guru does not make you mean you're not an MC. You could sound like whoever you want to sound like. In Luke, in his world, down south Miami bass world, he's an MC. But I respect your opinion, Jojo. I see where you're coming from, and a lot of people, including my brother, has talked about this a lot. Hip hop versus rap, and MCing versus um, rapping. Um, from my point of view, it's blurry. It's like you're hip hop if you do this, but you're not hip hop if you do that. But you still have to be original and have your own style. So you can't tell me I have to have my own style and be original, but then say I also have to do it like this guy. Well, which one is it? If my style is partying, that's my style. If your style is gangster, that's your style. To me, a person who's not a rapper. Yeah, we talked about this last week. Coogee Rap wrote I Desire for Salt and Pepper. He wrote a few records for them. And Herbie wrote mostly all of the records, the big ones. Verse Pro says, I believe Wyclef wrote all of Lauryn Hill's lyrics. She hasn't had a hit since leaving him. That's not true. Because the miseducation of Lauryn Hill was the whole album was about leaving him. And I think if Wyclef may have wrote her rhymes, I don't know, but I think he would have said it by now. Wyclef, I think he put out a tell-all book a few years back, and he said a lot of things about Lauryn that I would consider private. And I think if he wrote Lauryn's lyrics, I believe we would know. Now, you might have information that we don't have. Um, but Lauryn also did The Sweetest Thing I've Ever Known. What soundtrack was that on? Um, Same soundtrack with Penny with a Hole in It. That song by Dion Farris. That was after the miseducation, and I love that song. That song was banging. So I'm gonna say, there's a lot that goes into why a record is a hit and why a record isn't. It's a whole formula, y'all. Maybe one day I'm gonna break down my opinion of that, but it's so much that goes into whether it's almost like catching lightning in a bottle. You could be really dope and never have a hit record. Like there's people that's really dope. We talk about on this channel. People that's dope, lyricists but never have a hit. And there's people that would be considered mediocre lyricists that has multiple platinum plaques. It's a lot that goes into it. Um, Let me scroll down a little bit. Um, oh, this is funny, Jason Wall. KRS-One don't wear Adidas because his name ain't Run. I used to love that line from Dope Beat. And Run told KRS that he heard that. And, he heard what KRS, but he considered KRS like a young buck trying to bucket the big dogs. So he didn't even respond to KRS at that time. But he heard it. They talked about it in the studios. I heard it was funny. I was not there, but I got the play-by-play. I heard it was pretty funny. Big up to Rev Run. Beyond the Matrix, yo, KP, you got me rolling with that response. MK Ultra sick Rick voice, crumbs. I should sample that, have like a sampler that's called crumbs, but I would never call anybody a crumb, but that's funny. Uh, David Alston says, Kenny, who are the little kids in the My Philosophy video? Are they related to you and Chris? I believe it was Red Alert's son and Scott LaRock's son were the two little kids in the My Philosophy video. Red Alert's son, Scott LaRock's son. And I met Red Alert's son, I would say officially, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, as a grown man, and I wasn't ready. Because, Red Alert used to have the promos, and a little kid used to say, everybody listen to my daddy, DJ Red Alert. And he was like, he had a little kid talking his son on all the promos. And now he's a grown man. And he was in the studio. I was in the studio with KRS about 4 years ago, and he was there. And I was just like, yo, I'm not ready for grown Red Alert Jr. Coach Hug says The Sneak Attack is one of the most important albums ever made. Thank you. I'm on that album. Latrice Washington says Albie is my sing out loud song. Word. See, everyone has their own. Oh wow, this comment is gonna get this person. That's wild. Gregory Nett says Kenny is so biased that his name should be Kenny Bias. That's funny. I'm not biased, actually. I try to be very objective when I give my opinions. I'm only biased when it comes to native tongue music. I'm biased. And I'm somewhat biased, of course, with BDP, but not really. BDP, I try to be even less biased. I'm actually harder on BDP and KRS to me than I think I would be on other MCs on this channel. I try not to be biased, but there is biases because I've seen a lot. I've been with the crew for 30 years, so I've seen a lot. But my bias is usually with Tribe and De La. Stephen Brooks says Pac was in prison for 10 months. That's it? Not saying that's it. But I thought it was longer. Let's see. Criminal Minded says, yeah, I might just do this, Criminal Minded. Every once in a while, you get that. But everyone has a right to their opinion, though. I try to put all opinions up because, A, everyone has a right to their opinion. I respect opinions. And, it's good conversation. Sometimes it's a good conversation piece. I might not agree. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I might not agree. Beatline Bulletin says, I used to play Stranded on Death Row on repeat. Me too. I'd have to think about this, Pluto. No. Peace KP, who are some golden era underrated producers? Domingo, Buck Wild. So I don't know, when we say underrated, that's another term. Underrated implies that you should be bigger or more spoken about or ranked higher than where you are. And I think for the most part, people in hip hop, artists, producers, they're ranked pretty much on the tier where they should be. So is Domingo and Buck Wild underrated? They're dope producers. I don't know if they're underrated. I would have to think of a person who should be ranked higher, that don't get talked about enough as a producer. I think KG from Naughty by Nature is underrated. We talk about 90s producers and hits and big records, and KG did some gigantic records in the 90s, not just with Naughty, but R&B records, all of that Next, Too Close, and Coffee Brown, Jaheim. I think KG from Naughty by Nature is an underrated producer. His name doesn't come up enough. Off the top of my head, that's a person I would think of. Most of everybody else, who I'm trying to think of somebody who does beats. Who I think we had Prince Paul on this channel. I know all of you out there saw the Prince Paul interview that we did about a month and a half ago. He should get mentioned more for his work with De La Soul. Here I am biased again, Gregory Nettis, but his name doesn't come up a lot. Actually, I would say Q-Tip's name comes up more than his. Then again, Q-Tip has done a lot of monster records, so maybe it should. 45 King is a name that doesn't come up enough. Who's super underrated, who's incredible producer. And we are in overtime right now, y'all. It's 9:35. I'm gonna scroll all the way to the bottom. I skipped a lot of comments, y'all. A lot of comments. Mike Rock says, Love Jones. That was the soundtrack. I remember I was in the car, me, Heather B, and her good friend Suzette Williams, who at the time was managing Lauryn Hill. I believe did she work at Sony at the time? I think she worked at Sony. Big up Suzette Williams. Sue, what's up? We were riding in the car and she had an advanced cassette of Love Jones. She had an advanced cassette of the Love Jones album. And she popped it in. And there was a few songs. Man, it was rocking so hard. We was in the car rocking so hard. I was like, Sue, you gotta give me this tape. I got on her nerves so bad that she gave me the tape of Love Jones because Penny with a Hole in It and Lauryn Hill's song, and there was a couple others on it that was banging, and I was just like, I gotta have this. I gotta have it. And she gave me the tape. So big up Suzette Williams, the family. Beyond the Matrix, KP, can you invite Melly Mel on your show? That would be epic. I don't know Melly Mel at all. That would be epic. I think I would have Grandmaster Flash on first because he's a DJ and he's one of my DJ heroes. But I would love to have Melly Mel on. He probably would talk about how great he is the whole time, but that'd be fire. Michael from Mortis says, KP, it makes my week to hear you are a Deion Ferris fan. Yeah. Cause I used to like, I know how you do it, baby. What was I know how you do? I forgot the name of the record now. I love the video, and I loved her in Arrested Development. Yeah, I'm a Deion Ferris fan. Never met her. Deion Ferris, what's up? Come on the channel. I know what you're doing, baby. 1995. Let me scroll down a little more. Jack Swag says, who were the kids on the back of the Necessary album? Yeah, those are the same kids in the video, I believe. I have to look at it again, but I believe Scott's son and Red Alert's son. Emma Brown says, Yo-Yo was fire. Yeah, Yo-Yo was fire for a hot year. I was just watching Romantic Call. Because I was watching an interview, shout out to Soren Baker, I was watching an interview with Hitman Howie T. I'm gonna put him on the list of underrated producers. Rest in peace to Hitman Howie T. Underrated. He had his hands on a lot of big records. And it turns out that he did Romantic Call by Patra, which a song that I used to like and I used to play. Patra featuring Yo-Yo, and Tupac was in that video too. And so somehow scrolling through, I saw that video and I put it on. So big up to Yo-Yo. I met Yo-Yo briefly for a second. Spook Realm says, was that the same kid yelling, Jungle Brothers, Jungle Brothers, Jungle Brothers? It could have been. I'm not sure, but it could have been. Mike Rock says, was I the only one who had a crush on Sweet Tea? No, you were not. Shout out to Nikki D. That's the homie. Jack Swagger says, Kenny is super neutral, even if it's BDP. Thank you, Jack Swagger. I should hang up right there. That's it, y'all. Get home safe. Peace. We're in overtime right now. I try to be Jack Swagger. I try to be. But if you ask me my opinion, there's certain things that I like, but I try to be neutral. I like this. MK Ultra says everyone has the right to my opinion. Yes. I like that. I might steal that from you, Ultra. Cutie Pie says, have your opinion. Just be respectful and kind while doing so. It's not hard to do. Yeah, that's what I said. Everyone has their own opinion. Some things are not for me. That's why every album didn't sell what Thriller sold. You know, if every Thriller was probably the most popular album at one time ever, right? We could all agree on that. Sold 100 million copies. There's a reason why every record doesn't sell 100 million copies, because it's not for everybody. But that's okay. Gregory Nettis, is Club 27 real? Now we're getting real deep into the conspiracy theories. In my opinion, there's something to that. It looks very, I'm not gonna say I believe it, but I'm gonna say there's an argument there. It's suspicious. Blaze Universal, Havoc underrated. He top tier. Yeah, I was just talking to my man Jetta about that about a week ago. Havoc is so I don't know if he's underrated because he mostly did Mobb Deep. He stayed in his camp. I mean, I'm sure he did a couple other things, but I think to be bigger, you had to produce multiple acts to have big songs with multiple acts. Havoc had mostly big songs with his own group. Now, is he top tier? Absolutely, he's top tier. But is he underrated? I'm not sure. Paul C is an underrated producer. I don't know if he's underrated because he didn't live long enough to get to that level. Larry Smith is an underrated producer. Larry Smith is the first great super producer in hip hop. If y'all check out the Larry Smith story, he's one of my heroes too. Let's see. Chris Morale says KG won't be respected until someone in Naughty passes. Yeah, that's how a lot of artists are. We don't give flowers until they're no more. I don't know what that is about, especially hip hop. I don't know if it's almost like a macho thing. Like, we don't want to sweat nobody. You know, I ain't sweating him. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah. He put his pants on just like I put my pants on. Blah, blah, blah. You know, but I've always been a person to give flowers to people, especially when I see them. I'll tell you straight up, I love your music or whatever it is that you do. But, you know, we in the hip hop generation, for some reason, we feel better giving it up to people when they're gone. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, Jack Swag, you took the words out my mouth. Larry Smith is crazy. David Olson says, Kenny, were you all offended when Snoop crushed the buildings in New York video? So disrespectful. How did he get away with that? It was offensive. I remember that. And he says he did it as a result of Biggie trying to get that video popped up. If y'all know the story, Biggie, they were shooting that video in New York, and Biggie went on the radio on Hot 97 and was like, how y'all gonna let them come to Brooklyn and shoot a video and they from the West Coast? And then next thing you know, somebody popped at their trailer. Somebody could have really been hurt. I don't know. I'm gonna say that wasn't a good thing Biggie did there. And then Snoop claims that after that, that's when they decided to kick over the buildings. I don't know how you change up the video budget that fast and come up with a whole concept that fast. First of all, the song New York, New York, they said it was a big up to New York City. It didn't sound like it to me. I like Snoop. I like his music, whatever, but to me, New York, New York sounded like a diss. That whole song, even when they was mocking New York in the beginning and all that, the chorus, and then they saying we wasn't gonna kick the buildings over until Biggie did that, and then we decided to kick the big buildings over. I don't know about that. Snoop, could you come on the channel and talk about that real quick? Just clear that up for us, Snoop. We love you, Snoop. Come on in. I've never met Snoop, by the way. Tori D says DR period is underrated. DR period is ridiculous. Don't know if he's underrated. I think he's right in the category he should be, but the few beats that we heard him do are classic. Shout out DR period. We worked on a project together many years ago. Shout out to DR period, like in the 90s. Like the 90s is 25 plus years, y'all. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up soon. We're definitely in overtime. Yes, KG definitely underrated. He really is, man. He really is. Jason Wall said 45 King did Hard Knock Life, didn't he? Yes, he did. Ridiculous. 45 King did a beat so dope that there's no vocals on it, and it used to rip the party for years. The 900 number. No words. They eventually put a rapper on it. They eventually, DJ Cool used it. But originally, that was just a beat that used to come on and destroy the party. Ridiculous. Patrick White says Easy Mo B doesn't come up enough. He doesn't. He should come up more, especially in that 94 to 96. He was killing them. He's the only producer, I believe, that produced the Biggie and Pac while they were alive. Shout out to Easy Mo B. We've done some parties together. We've had a chance to chop it up. Brooklyn in the house. Let's see. CMC says Rockwilder. Rockwilder is dope. A lot of dope records with Redman. He did not Jay-Z. What's Jay? Oh man, Memphis Bleak. He had a hit with Bleak. Hit with Jay-Z. But I think he's weird. I don't know if he's underrated. Who do you think is the most underrated rapper? That's hard. LL Cool J. I think when they talk about the greatest of all time, when you look at whole careers, I don't think LL gets mentioned enough. I see names that get mentioned over LL, and I'd be like, are you kidding me? You think this person is over LL Cool J's career? We're talking about a career. I think when it comes to GOAT conversation, no pun intended, because he came up with the word. When it comes to GOAT conversation, I think LL is the most underrated rapper. His name should be in the mix. I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time, but his name should be in that small little pot. Absolutely, in my opinion. I'm going with LL Cool J. And y'all gonna try to kill me on here, but I don't care because that's my opinion. B Street is the best hip hop joint. I don't know, Latrice. I thought it was okay. I would put Wild Style over that. I would put Crush Groove over that, but I might be wrong. That's my opinion. Jack Swagger says Melly Mel can talk about Duke Booty. I probably would. I don't see him doing that, but that would be interesting. Um, Let me scroll down to the very bottom, then I'm gonna get off, y'all. We are super duper overtime, y'all. I'm at the very bottom. DMC is wild underrated. Well, they're in a group, but yeah. Tretch is super underrated, but I have groups separated from soloists. But Tretch is one of the most elite wordsmiths ever. He doesn't get mentioned as much as he should. Uh, I would put him in an underrated category. Master Ace is underrated. Master Ace is dope. I don't know if he's underrated, but I think he's great. Ski Beats is definitely underrated. That's my man, Ski Beats. See, once again we talk about underrated because he's had a few big records. He's on the tier. I think he's on the tier where he should be. There's tiers. So for me, when you say somebody's underrated, it means they're on this tier and they should be on this tier. I think they're on the tier that they're on. Greg Canetta said, I'd rather listen to LL than Jay-Z. Green Talent says Crush Groove is the greatest break movie of all time. I loved Crush Groove. Kenny, have you ever met Silver Fox, MC Silver Fox? He mentioned LL and G-Rap. I don't think so. I don't think so. All right, I'm gonna jump off, y'all. I'm at the very bottom. Um, Jay-Z is overrated. Ooh. Ooh. Nine is underrated. What you want, Nine? Fat Beats from my rhymes. That's my dude, too. Shout out to Nine. NAMC that disagrees with me, wave your arm. Shout out to Nine, man. Lady of Rage is the most underrated female MC of all time. Mm, possibly. Um, Jason, oh, I lost that comment, Jason Wall. Oh, here we go. Jason Wall says Nine was a one-hit wonder. I don't believe in one-hit wonders. There's a lot of terms that y'all say. I'm gonna say I don't believe in these terms, but he had one song that broke through. But I think he's where he should. I don't think he's underrated, but that's my homie though. Um, Nine is a super cool dude. Straight heat. Salute DJ KP checking in from Flatbush. Big up Flatbush. Thanks for responding to my DM. Yes. Um, I have a lot to say about Flatbush, so let's go. All right, I'm jumping off. I just keep seeing comments and I see people saying overrated. I would never say anyone is overrated. I would never say that. Not on the air. All right, I'm jumping off. Um, We're in OT. We went really long today, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to try to remember to dig up the BDP hat so I can rock it for Tuesday. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And once again, my public service announcement. We here at the Kenny Parker Show, we respect all opinions, even if we don't agree. Just, you don't have to be nasty with it, but we want to hear your opinions. I like to just get a feel of who says, who feels what. We respect all opinions. We just don't like nastiness on the channel. We try to keep it intelligent here. All right. On that note, I am out of here. Okay, let me see. I'm at the bottom. All right, I'm at the bottom. I'm out. All right. I'll catch you guys Tuesday, God willing. Peace.